My name is Steve Fink, and I'm the Assistant Athletic Director for Communications here at the University of South Carolina. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's press conference as we formally introduce our new head coach, Shane Beamer. Today we will hear from University President Bob Caslen, Athletics Director Ray Tanner, and of course, Coach Beamer. After each makes an opening statement, we'll open it up for questions. Please use the raise hand function and we'll get to you as soon as we can. Please mute your microphone when you aren't speaking. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the University of South Carolina President, Bob Caslen.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hey, let me tell you how excited I am to be here. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad that you're here. I could not be more excited for today. Today is not only a day of great excitement, today is a day of great promise. We are so excited to welcome our next football coach, Coach Shane Beamer. We also are really excited to welcome his wife, Emily, his children, Sutton, Olivia, and Hunter. And I know they are going to be here as absolutely as soon as they can. So, Coach, I can't tell you right now how excited we are that you are now part of the Gamecock family once again. First, I would just say that how important that the year and a half that I've been here, that I have seen the importance of athletics to our university. It is so important to our fan base. It's so important to our alumni. It's so important to our students, our staff and faculty. It's really kind of woven into the culture of this entire university. Our fan base could not be more passionate, and they could not be more excited about what it takes to have athletics here on the university and to have a winning program. America loves a winner. And America wants to be around a winner, and they want to win, and they want to win with excellence, and they want to win the right way. And I'm absolutely convinced that as we went through this entire selection process, that Shane Beamer is that coach. Coach Beamer has been mentored by the best. He has a wealth of experience. He knows the Southeast Conference. He knows the state of South Carolina and our neighboring states. He knows the recruiting activities that are going on in the Southeast Conference and in this particular state. And he's got the competence. And most important, I am absolutely convinced he has the character that will bring this program to a championship level. When I talk about and think about Shane's character, the first thing that comes to mind is trust. And I was anxious to hear the great words that he had when he was talking to the team yesterday about trust and how trust is so tremendously important and it has to be earned, and that he wanted the opportunity to earn it. And when you talk about character, you talk about a culture that defines that character and the values that are part of that particular culture. Values of integrity, values of selflessness, laying it on the line for each other, values of excellence, and building that culture that no matter what, I will never want to let this team down. It's pretty clear that we all want a championship program here at the University of South Carolina. And I'll tell you, I am absolutely convinced, and I am more confident than I have ever been, that Coach Shane Beamer is the one that will get us there. So we are excited for today in a very special way. I could not be more excited as the president of the University of South Carolina. Coach Shane Beamer, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. We're not going to bring you up just yet. I want to now bring up a partner that has worked so tirelessly in this effort to bring on Coach Shane Beamer, and that's our incredible athletic director, Ray Tanner. So Ray, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We're grateful that you could participate. I want to begin by recognizing our president again, President Caslen, for embracing this process that we have gone through. He was with us every step of the way. He never missed an opportunity to visit with a coach that I visited with, and I'm very grateful that he took the time out of a schedule that you can, it's hard to believe the amount of things that he does in a particular day, but so I'm grateful for the time that you spent and the passion that you embraced this search. I'd also like to recognize our Senior Deputy Athletics Director, Chance Miller, who has also been with us every step of the way. He's done a wonderful job. He He's an IT expert. He's a lawyer. He's a little bit of everything, but he's been a valuable asset as we've gone through this process. Also, Chad Chatlos. He's a managing director now of Turnkey Search. He was with us as we went through this process. I'm grateful for all the insight and the valuable information that he provided. I only had one rule for Chad when we engaged, is that every time I call, you answer on the first ring. He didn't do that every single time, and I'm going to have to hold that against him as we move forward. But also our board of trustees that supported our chair, Dr. Dorn Smith, that supported our process. They were not directly involved. It was just the people that I had mentioned, but they supported our process as we navigated to the day that we're here right now. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for those people and the amount of time and energy that they expended to get us to today to have an opportunity to introduce Coach Shane Beamer. I tell you, it just seems like yesterday that Coach Beamer was here on campus. It's been 10 years, and he made an impact while he was here as a coach, as a person, as a relational builder from his players, former players. He stayed in touch with many people here in our city and our campus community. He was widely respected. He's been to so many different places and done so many things. And I looked at his resume a little bit, and I asked him, I was looking at his coaching career, and I said, it appears to me that you started coaching just out of college. And he said that is correct. I proceeded to ask him, what happened to your NFL career? He said it was rather short. He said, I tried out, and they asked me, was I serious about trying out? So I thought that was good. But it's always good to get in the coaching ranks so early. He's been to a lot of different places. But I'll tell you this, in 21 seasons, he's participated in 17 bowl games. Out of the time he's been assistant head coach, associate head coach, position coaches, he has been very successful, a part of some programs that have achieved at a very, very high level. He played in a national championship game, and he coached in a national championship game. Of the 21 seasons that I mentioned that he was a coach at all Power 5 schools, that there was only 3 of those teams that had a losing record. So I know that as a person, Coach Caslen has referred to the outstanding characteristics with integrity, with passion, the enthusiasm, with everything that he stands for, what he represents, the affinity that he has for this school. And he's been away for quite a while, but he has a tremendous desire to be here. And it has not just started when I made the phone call to him about becoming a candidate in this search process. It has been evident for a long time. I appreciated his experience and what he's been through, the preparation. For a long time, he's been preparing to become a head coach. You look at his journey and where he's been and what he's done. And now he's assistant head coach at Oklahoma as they enter into a picture of playing for a Big 12 championship and what he's been able to do. I would also note that with 3 coaches that he's been with, when you talk about Kirby Smart, you talk about Lincoln Riley, you talk about Sylvester Croom at Mississippi State. All those 3 coaches were either first or second year coaches. So he knows what it's like to be in a situation where somebody hasn't been a head coach, but they have become one. That came up on a couple of different questions that you have here and there. I'm the least bit concerned. He's prepared for this day to become our head coach and to lead us to heights that we all aspire to be a part of. I know our fan base is excited. I did engage with our former players, the Lettermen. They were tremendously excited. We had a couple of Zoom calls. A number of them showed up here this morning outside the building. This is a COVID-free building, so we couldn't let them in. But Coach Beamer went outside. He went outside to have a visit with them, and I thought that was a tremendous gesture on their part. And I will tell you, as Coach Caslen did, I call him Coach because he's a former player, and he coached a little bit in college football. So we're excited to have Sutton and Olivia here with us, as well as Hunter and his wife, Emily. Sutton and Olivia were both born here in Columbia, so they're really coming back. They're really coming back to where their roots are. But for so many reasons, I feel very strongly that we found the man to lead our football program. Last night, as he was visiting with the team and their attentiveness and his remarks They embraced, they were engaged. And I think they're excited about moving forward with a man that cares deeply about them and about the success that they're going to have an opportunity to enjoy. So without further comment, it gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce the head football coach at the University of South Carolina, Coach Shane Beamer.
Thank you.
I'm going to wipe you down.
Thank you, Coach Tanner. Thank you, President Caslen. It's an absolute honor to be the head football coach here at the University of South Carolina. Today is an absolute dream come true, not just to be a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference, but to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina. In my dreams, I wasn't staring at a screen of reporters on Zoom, and we had a big room with my family and so many people in here, so that's a little bit different, but it certainly doesn't take away the excitement of being here in this position. I want to thank President Caslen, Ray Tanner, and Chance Miller for their belief and their faith in me. The interview process was very, very thorough, but I really, really enjoyed connecting with those guys. I told my wife the first time that Coach Tanner and Chance and I talked on the phone, I came home and I just told her, I said, there's something different about those guys, their vision, the way that we connected, the amount of time that we spent together on that phone call, the initial phone call, and then the interview was pretty special. And then having a chance to visit with President Caslen during the interview process as well. The fact that he's a huge football guy, played the game of football, is exciting for me. We are certainly aligned here, and it all starts with those guys at the top. I want to thank Coach Will Muschamp and the contributions he made to this program. Certainly a class individual and somebody that I have a lot of respect for that advanced this program and tried to do it for the right reasons. So I want to thank him for what he did for the University of South Carolina as well. To the former players here at Carolina, Coach Tanner mentioned that I had an opportunity to visit with a group of them this morning. I'm so appreciative for those guys coming by, being able to see old faces, guys I coached like Mo Brown, guys that I coached against like Ryan Brewer, Perry Orr, so many former players that came by to take the time to do that this morning was very, very special to me, and I'm thankful for that. I've heard from so many of them the last couple of weeks, and I told my wife when this process was going on that I didn't know how this thing was going to finish. But regardless of what happened, I would have been crushed if this thing didn't happen. But I told her just the amount of former players that I heard from during this time that reached out to me or that I found out reached out to Coach Tanner and our administration to recommend me and jump on the table for me was extremely, extremely humbling. It reaffirmed why I coach. Obviously, Saturdays are important. Wins and losses are what you're judged on, but the opportunity to have an impact on a young man's life and to have a guy like a Marcus Lattimore call me out of the blue and tell me stories of things that I barely remember that he talked about, conversations we had, a guy like a Connor Shaw driving home from work 2 weeks ago and to have Melvin Ingram and Akeem Auguste FaceTime me just to catch up. Patrick DeMarco, Torrey Gurley, I can go on and on and on. Alshon Jeffrey, Stephon Gilmore. I've heard from so many of them over the last couple of weeks. And thank you. Thank you. This is your program. I'm honored to be your head football coach, but this is your program and you guys laid the groundwork. You are always welcome here. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here. I've been blessed to be able to work for some great head coaches over my career. I've learned so much from all of them and taken a little bit from all of them as well. Starting with George O'Leary, who gave me an opportunity, my first coaching job back in 2000, right after college when Coach Tanner told you that story. I did. It's a true story. I went to our pro day at Virginia Tech, and I had one pro scout come up to me and say, "You're not serious about this, are you?" And then I had a second one come up to me and said, "What are your plans for next season?" Which obviously coaching or playing pro football wasn't one of them. So I got into coaching pretty quickly. I had an opportunity to work for Coach O'Leary at Georgia Tech. Philip Fulmer hired me and gave me an opportunity to get into the SEC at the University of Tennessee. Sylvester Croom, someone that other than my own family has had more of an impact on me than anyone in this world. A guy that was the first African-American head football coach in the Southeastern Conference and hired me at the age of 26 to come to Starkville, Mississippi and work on his staff for him is something that I'm still trying to repay to him all these years later. Seeing how he handled his program and the way that he built that program at Mississippi State. So thankful for that opportunity. To Steve Spurrier, who gave me an opportunity here in Columbia. If he hadn't hired me back in 2007, probably wouldn't be standing here today. But to be able to come back here with Coach Spurrier and work for him and learn from him and win a lot of football games, thank you, Coach, for that opportunity. To my dad, Frank Beamer, the former head coach at Virginia Tech, It was such a thrill for me. It was hard to leave here, but such a thrill for me to leave South Carolina and go work for my dad at Virginia Tech for 5 years. Thank you for the lessons I learned from you. To Kirby Smart, who hired me at Georgia on his first staff in Athens, a guy that I have an immense amount of respect for. I consider a close personal friend and someone that certainly made me a better football coach in my 2 years with him in Athens. And then finally to Lincoln Riley. My family and I loved living in Athens, Georgia. Had a great time. We were winning football games. But when the 10th assistant coach rule came into effect in college football, Lincoln Riley reached out to me, and there's not a program in all of college football that I would have left to go be an assistant coach at other than the University of Oklahoma. And that was because of Lincoln Riley. I felt like I'd done a lot in my career. I had a lot of different roles, but the opportunity to go to learn from Lincoln and learn the offensive system at Oklahoma and how we do things for my family and I to get out of our comfort zone a little bit was an opportunity I didn't feel like I could pass up. And I've grown so much as a coach in the 3 years out there at Oklahoma. Not only have I learned a lot from a football standpoint, I gained a very personal, close personal friend. He and his wife, Caslen, are phenomenal people. He's been a huge help to me throughout this process, answering questions, willing to work with me throughout this process and helping me learn how to be a head coach by watching him each and every day. And then the president, Joe Harris, the president at the University of Oklahoma, and Joe Castiglione, the athletic director at Oklahoma. Thank you for the time that you've spent with me. I've had multiple lunches with Joe Castiglione where he's allowed me to pick his brain and ask questions. And he's considered one of the finest athletic directors in the country, and to be able to learn from him has been really, really special. I want to thank the Oklahoma players. I wouldn't be here in this position without you guys. I've got 600 plus text messages on my cell phone right now from people congratulating me, wanting to come here and coach, different things. But so many of those text messages are from players at Oklahoma that have reached out to me and are excited for me. And thank you guys. I developed close personal relationships with the players that I coach. And as excited as I am about leaving or about coming to South Carolina, but the having to leave those guys is extremely tough and difficult, but appreciate you guys and all you're about. And then finally, my family. My in-laws, Steve and Sandra Gladney, back in Starkville, Mississippi. They are SEC through and through, and the fact that their son-in-law is live on SEC Network is probably the proudest day of their lives, certainly in our marriage, I'm sure. I hear them talk regularly about Paul Feinbaum and the SEC at football and this and that, and two great people, and I'm fortunate that they allowed me to come to Starkville, Mississippi and marry their daughter. To my parents in Blacksburg, Virginia, Frank and Cheryl Beamer, thank you for all you've taught me, the son that you raised me to be, and your constant support. For 21 years in coaching, I can always count on Thursday nights getting a phone call from my parents wishing me luck in that game on Saturday. My dad wanting to know what the game plan is and what we're thinking. And I can count on every single game, regardless of when that game ends, whether it be after midnight or early in the afternoon, within 5 minutes of that game being over, I can always count on a cell phone call from my mom, leaving me a voicemail, either congratulating us on our win or telling us tough loss and get ready to bounce back next week. My sister, Casey Prater, lives in Charlotte, which I'm excited about getting back closer to her. Thank you for your constant support and being the best sister in the entire world. And then to my family back in Norman. My wife is born and raised in Starkville, Mississippi. And I took a job there in 2004. We got married. And within our first year of marriage, I came to her and I said, we're moving to Columbia, South Carolina. We have this opportunity. So we drove over to Columbia to look around. Coach Spurrier had already offered me the job. Wanted to make sure it was right for all of us. We didn't know anything about Columbia. I drove through here in the summertime, and beyond that, I hadn't spent much time in Columbia. We spent our first night in Columbia, a hotel off Bush River Road. That's all I knew about was a Bush River Road. And at that time, drove around the next day looking for a house. And little did we know that those 4 years would lead to 4 of the greatest years of our life, living here, the friendships that we made in our entire life. One thing my dad taught me in December of 1986, he became the head football coach at Virginia Tech. And he got up in his opening press conference and he thanked so many people, his brothers, his sisters, his parents, former coaches, just like I just did. And he forgot to introduce my mom, his wife. And I've always remembered that as I've been preparing for this day, to make sure that I don't forget to introduce, or in this case, thank my wife. So leaving here 10 years ago was extremely difficult. I told my wife, I'll never forget having this conversation, that if we ever wanted to be the head football coach at Virginia Tech, or excuse me, if I ever wanted to be the head football coach at South Carolina, I felt like we needed to leave to go to Virginia Tech at that time and then ultimately come back. And I don't know if she believed me or not, but she went along, and we've worked for 10 years to get back to this place, this special place. And baby, we did it. We're back. But the dream doesn't end there. We're just getting started. But so thankful that you're my best friend, my partner throughout this. I'm sad you're not here today, but I can't wait to see you back in Norman. And then to my 3 children, Sutton, Olivia, and Hunter. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of them. They're going to be completely invested into this athletics program. We're going to be at every sporting event you can think of. We're going to be supporting Coach Staley, Coach Martin, all the different sports here at Carolina. We're excited about that. I was telling Coach Tanner in my interview process, my son, he's 7, for the last 2 weeks, that he knew about this opportunity. He knew about Carolina. Every single night when I came home, they would text me, "See, are you close to home?" I said, "Yeah, I'm about 5 minutes away." And lo and behold, every single night when I walked in the house, Sandstorm would be blaring in our kitchen, and my 7-year-old would be waving his T-shirt above his head. So no pressure at all on that one. But it was pretty cool to see when this thing came to fruition late Saturday night. I've still got some old Carolina clothes that I had from my time here. My kids put those on. They're excited about it, and can't wait to get them over here. Like I said, we're just getting started. I've had opportunities in my career to be a head football coach, but I've been in some great places along with some great coaches, and I wasn't going to leave just to go check a box to say that I was a head coach. It would have had to have been really, really special. The places that I've worked, the coaches that I've worked for, made that really, really hard to ever leave. But this is a dream job for me because you have everything in place to win here at the University of South Carolina. A state that I was born in, that I'm so proud to be a native of, the state of South Carolina, an amazing elite university here with unbelievable academics and great leadership, a growing state and a growing city that I'm excited about raising our family in, this amazing city of Columbia, South Carolina. The facilities here, so much has changed in the 10 years since I left, but the facilities here are second to none. I've coached at a lot of different places. I've visited a lot of different schools, and the infrastructure that we have here from a facility standpoint, this building, Williams-Brice Stadium, everything that's continuing to grow. It's exciting to have those resources to be able to recruit here. The amazing fan base at the University of South Carolina. One of my earliest memories, my dad was the head coach at Murray State out in Murray, Kentucky, FCS program. He took the head coaching job at Virginia Tech in 1987. And one of my first memories to big-time college football was coming down here to a game at Williams-Brice and seeing Todd Ellis, who I so appreciate being here today, quarterback at the University of South Carolina, seeing Sterling Sharp out there, all the great players that he played against. Obviously, it didn't go well for Virginia Tech, but I just remember being blown away by the fan base, the size of Williams-Brice Stadium, just something about the Williams-Brice Stadium and the electricity in the air in those times down here. And it's always resonated with me. This is a job. My dad spent time coaching in Charleston, South Carolina at the Citadel. And one thing that he always talked about during his entire career was how much he would love if the opportunity ever presented itself to be the head football coach at South Carolina himself. I still remember, God bless him, but I still remember Mike McGee coming to Blacksburg, Virginia, and sitting in our kitchen and interviewing my dad at one time about being the head coach at South Carolina. So that opportunity never transpired with him, but the fact that I'm standing here today is really, really cool, and things have certainly come full circle. But I remember those initial games in Williams-Brice Stadium. I've been in here as a coach for Carolina, and I've been in here multiple times in Williams-Brice Stadium as an opposing coach. And the atmosphere, the electricity, the passion of the crowd in Williams-Brice Stadium is second to none. And I am so excited about getting back out there, running out to 2001, listening to Sandstorm and all the different amazing traditions that we have here at Carolina with the greatest fan base in the nation is something that I'm really, really excited about. I'm excited about being a part of a program that has such a high expectation level of success throughout all sports. It's a top 25 athletics program with great leadership, like I talked about, that's won multiple national championships in a lot of different sports, and really looking forward forward to learning from the other coaches here at this great university and picking their brain on what makes them successful, and then supporting this athletics program with my entire family. When I talk about the resources to be successful, you certainly have that with the high school programs and a recruiting base here in this state. It's always going to start with the state of South Carolina. I understand how important the high school coaches are in this state. The guy, my head high school football coach, Dave Christ at Blacksburg High School in Blacksburg, Virginia, the lessons he taught me as a young teenager in Blacksburg still resonate with me to this day, and the impact that the high school coaches have on players is strong. This isn't me reconnecting with any high school program, wherever I've been, since I left Carolina, whether it be Virginia Tech, whether it be Georgia, whether it be Oklahoma. I've always recruited this area, and I've always recruited this region. So it's really cool to have heard from so many high school coaches since this was announced, that I'm looking forward to reconnecting with, and if you want to phrase it that way, and getting back in those high schools. This is a program that you're always going to be welcome at. I'm looking forward to visiting with you in your school. And once the age of this era of COVID is hopefully over soon, being able to get you guys in our building and having a chance to visit with you. I know some of you have questions about my time frame. I know it's been reported that I'm going to go back to Oklahoma and finish the season with those guys. And that's very important to me. Like I said, I have deep relationships with those players at Oklahoma, and I want to be loyal to those guys as well. And I don't want to sweep the rug out from under them and leave them high and dry with 2 weeks left in our regular season with another opportunity to win a Big 12 championship. I didn't think that was the right thing to do. I talked to the players on our team yesterday about trust, about communication, about loyalty, and I didn't think it was fair to me to have that conversation with those guys and then leave these guys high and dry out in Oklahoma. So I'm going to do 2 jobs here for a couple more weeks. It's a little bit easier to do in today's time because we're not able to get out on the road recruiting. It's obviously everything is shut down. So everything that we need to do from a recruiting standpoint, I can do from our phone. And that's what I will continue to do and finish out the season with those guys, and then look forward to getting back here as soon as possible here in less than 2 weeks. Back here into Columbia, and that was very well received by the players on our team yesterday. And when I told them that, I could tell the reaction was positive, and certainly that's what I want to do. So we're going to have a lot of fun building what I want to be the premier culture in all of college football. That starts as investing in the relationships with these players and this current team, and getting out here and continuing to grow this awesome football program. And we're going to do that as it's already started. Haven't slept much here in the last couple of days. This thing was finalized late after midnight, after our game against Kentucky finished on Saturday night, and less than 9 hours later, I was on a plane headed to Columbia. So to all those 600 plus people that have sent me text and called, I apologize that I haven't gotten back to you yet. I promise you I'm going to. I appreciate all of you reaching out. And like I said, I know I don't want to continue to stand up here and ramble. I know so many of you have questions, and just wanted to reiterate and say it one more time. It's an absolute honor to be the head football coach here at the University of South Carolina. To all of the Gamecocks that are listening and watching live, you have my word that we will work every single day to build a program that you are proud of. My last year here at Carolina, we got over to Atlanta and came up a little bit short in that championship game, and I will work tirelessly with my staff that we put together and our team to get back to Atlanta and finish the deal this time, to have a program that you are proud of with the way that we represent your university on and off the field. I have great pride in being from the state of South Carolina, and I have great pride in being the head coach of the University of South Carolina and representing this program, this state, and this university. It's extremely exciting for me. It gives me immense pride to put on a shirt with that Carolina logo. And we're going to have a team that you can be proud of that takes great pride in representing this university and having that Carolina logo on their helmet and on their jerseys.